One of the three rookies to make his debut this season, Nikita Mazepin, or Mazepin as he's more commonly known, has earned quite a reputation for himself in such a short span of time. While he's not a terrible driver, Mazepin has faced severe flack for his performance, or rather lack of performance on track, as well as for his actions outside of racing. His status as a paid driver has made many question if he deserves to be in Formula 1 due to his father's sponsorship, despite having done well by himself in Formula 2. Besides, the Russian is not only the driver on the grid at the moment who has benefited from his father's fortunes, of course we're looking at you Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi, so why is Mazepin in particular so disliked by the F1 community? To answer that, let's take a look at what Formula 1 drivers think of Nikita Mazepin. The son of a Russian oligarch, Nikita Mazepin did not directly make his way into the highest form of racing without any merit. Before he could race in F1, Mazepin was a Russian karting champion and had participated in plenty of FIA-sanctioned karting series, finishing second behind Lando Norris in the 2014 CIK FIA Karting Championship. He later took part in the GP3 series, finishing second, the Asian F3 Championship finishing third, and finally raced in Formula 2 series where he would finish fifth in the drivers' standings. Ultimately, he got the opportunity to drive for the Haas team alongside Mick Schumacher in the 2021 season. So, without wasting any more time, let's jump right in with our first entry on this list. Nicolas Chiesa. A former F1 driver who was part of the Minardi and Jordan racing teams back in the early 2000s spoke about Mazepin's doings, saying, "Mazepin disrespects the agreements made between drivers, especially in qualifying. When it comes to your behavior and conduct on the track, it makes a difference to know that whatever you do, Dad is always going to keep paying." Chiesa is known for partnering Jos Verstappen at Minardi, but had a short-lived stint in F1, having been a part of only 5 Grand Prix, fewer than Mazepin in fact. The Danish driver had some more thoughts to share about Mazepin's attitude, quoting, "You definitely can't have that mentality when you come from Scandinavian countries. We have to behave properly and not do too much on our own initiative, until we've earned enough money to be able to say, okay, I'm good enough." Chiesa clearly believes that Mazepin does not take his position seriously, since it's given that he will retain his seat no matter how badly he does, only because of his father's financial support. Mika Salo. The Finnish driver was active throughout the 1990s, having driven for teams like Lotus, Tyrrell, Ferrari and Sauber. His most notable performance would be during the 1999 season, where he stood in for Michael Schumacher, who at the time was recovering from a debilitating injury. Talking about how Mazepin has done so far, Salo, who at first was critical of the Haas driver, later changed his opinion about him, stating, "At the time we didn't know their car was going that bad, it's just a terrible car. Nikita has learned a lot since then and is now riding very well. Everything is much better than in the first race." Salo also commented about why he thought Mazepin and his teammate Mick Schumacher frequently collided despite being far behind, mentioning, "It's not normal, but when your car doesn't work very well, the only one you can fight with is your teammate. They're almost 3 seconds slower than all the others, so it's quite logical that they're almost always next to each other on the track. Nikita is now almost matching Mick in terms of speed. That is why they're constantly facing each other." Ralf Schumacher. Brother of the racing legend Michael Schumacher and a highly accomplished racing driver himself, Ralf Schumacher has been quite vocal about Mazepin's abilities as a driver. Ralf's nephew Mick is Nikita's teammate at Haas and has often suffered on track due to his teammates' mistakes. Voicing his opinions on the young Russian, Ralf said, "If you look at the Russian's performance, this cannot be a reason in relation to Mick. In addition, the sympathy and marketing effect with Mick is better, and Nikita isn't anywhere near Mick anyway." Ralf has been quite harsh towards Mazepin, at one point even wishing for the driver to exit the sport at the earliest, saying, "Exclusion of Nikita during the current season is not an alternative because Mazepin brings a lot of money to the team. In my opinion, financial interest can be the only reason why the team boss keeps standing in front of Nikita." Nikita, however, has remained unfazed by the elder Schumacher's taunts and hit back at the ex-F1 driver, expressing, "It's not right for current and former racing drivers to put themselves above the commissioners and say what should have been done. They don't have any rights. At the same time, I respect the rules very much." Jolyon Palmer. F1 driver turned commentator cum analyst, Jolyon Palmer is widely popular for his breakdown of racing incidents as well as his views about the various ongoings during most race weekends. At the season opener in Bahrain, Palmer was among the first to criticize Mazepin, announcing, "Oh dear, oh no. So Mazepin has broken the gentleman's code of basically wait your turn and everyone gets a lap. He's gone past all the champions into the final corner and then he's got down to that first corner and spun. Way to make yourself public enemy number 1 on your debut. A few months down the line, Palmer has started to sympathise with Mazepin, unlike many other critics out there. Commenting on a radio broadcast of Toto Wolff's complaints about Nikita, Palmer said, "We know the narrative against Mazepin comes in with huge backing. He's not the most popular driver and is not doing well. We all know Nikita has made the bad boy a while back, so for sure F1 always broadcasts the comments about him because people like to listen to it. If they broadcast nice and sweet things said about other people, then nobody would care. So I think it's a little bit attention grabbing from their side, but we're part of the racing show business, so it's part of it." Timo Glock. The German driver drove in F1 all the way from 2008 until the 2013 season for Toyota, Virgin Racing and Marussia. Glock, though, is truly remembered for helping Hamilton win the 2008 season finale by letting the championship contender pass him on the final lap and win by a single point. Recently, Glock spoke about Nikita Mazepin and his behaviour on track with teammate Mick during the Dutch GP at Zandvoort. The problem is, at the moment, they don't take action against Mazepin until it's too late. You're too late if someone hits him and flies into the air. If that happens at the wrong time, like in Zandvoort, then Mick flies into the pit wall. I would take action in a timely manner, and if he still doesn't understand it, then give him a race suspension," said Glock about what he felt should have been to deal with Mazepin. He further went on to elaborate on the 22-year-old's mistakes, revealing, "A lot of things come together with him. It seems as if he's overwhelmed. Blue flags, reading situations, many things that he misjudges. The error rate speaks for itself." Jenson Button. Now a racing pundit, the 2009 world champion has spent most of his time outside of the sport as a commentator for Sky TV. Talking about how Mazepin has driven in various races, Button seemed quite incensed and had some strong words for the rookie, declaring, "It was a little bit too aggressive from Mazepin. It doesn't matter what happened in qualifying, and it shouldn't affect the way you drive in the race. And if it does, you're in the wrong sport because this is a dangerous sport." He also added a few words of advice for the Russian driver, who has been on the receiving end of a lot of fault finding by other drivers, mentioning, "A team makes mistakes. We all make mistakes, even your teammate. But it's about how you react to these mistakes. That makes you the person and the racing driver that you are. You just have to talk something out, discuss the problems, and then you come to the track the next day and it should be a new day looking ahead." Lastly, Button gave his judgments about Nikita, saying, "If he wants to have a long career in Formula 1, then he has to change his mind. He's way too aggressive. He can do it. Do not react to such a situation." It's common knowledge at this point that the Haas team's cars are widely uncompetitive, yet Mazepin has braved through a lot of hate, unlike his teammate Mick, even before he could make his F1 debut. This is primarily due to a groping incident that went viral on social media, as well as prior altercations during his F3 campaign. Moreover, his ability to spin in nearly every race does him no favours. Things do seem to be getting better for Mazepin, however, as he slowly started to improve on track and even showed his softer side while breaking down after a poor performance in Brazil. These days, he does seem to have turned a new leaf, and he might just be on his way to redeem himself and prove his critics wrong. Let us know what are your thoughts about Nikita Mazepin, and if you like this video, then hit the thumbs up and subscribe to Pit Stop.